Be honest with me. Are you one of those people that works really hard for 10 to 12 hours every day, yet are still struggling to achieve the results that you want? You're probably exhausted from needing to keep up this insane work ethic just to maintain a certain level of output. If this is you, then I need you to stop what you're doing right now, because I guarantee you are wasting your time. There's so much problematic content in the productivity sphere nowadays on things like how I work long hours every day without getting tired, or how I work for 10 hours a day. And I find that stuff absolutely ridiculous, because I used to be one of those people. And I look back on myself now and just cringe so hard. I used to treat my overworking as like this badge of honor, which made me superior to other people because it meant that,
oh, I'm so much more harder working than you, and I can do more than you can.
I learned the hard way after years and years of doing it at school and at work that working long hours is completely unnecessary to success. And I'll show you evidence-based reasons for why that is, and I'll show you how to, number one, work a hell of a lot less and yet achieve more, and number two, how to focus better so that you can actually improve the quality of your work. Because let's be real, why would you want to be wasting your life away by slaving away at your desk? Wouldn't you want to spend more of that time doing the things that you love? So personally, I work full-time in banking and I run this YouTube channel. I gym 5 days a week, yet I still find time to do all the things that I love, like reading and spending time with friends, because that's what I value in life. I don't like working more than what's necessary, and I was able to achieve that by implementing all the lessons from this book right here, which is Deep Work by Cal Newport. And this was a surprisingly fantastic read. And I say surprising because I hesitated to read it for years. It seemed like one of those self-help books that you just see everywhere, like in airports and pharmacies, but actually don't provide much value. But I was really surprised in that the tips in this book are super actionable. So after reading it, it completely changed the way that I work. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. And as always, timestamps below if you want to skip ahead, because I value your time. Firstly, it's important to understand why working long hours is ineffective. In performance psychology, they've actually done a number of studies to determine how much effort we can sustain and for how long. And turns out we actually have a very limited cognitive capacity to do work. Anders Ericsson and his colleagues surveyed all of these studies, and what they found was that we can only do 1 to 4 hours maximum in a day. 1 hour if you are kind of new to this deep focus level of work, and 4 hours if you're quite used to it, but no more than that. The science shows that if you try to cram in more work past this point, then you will experience something called the law of diminishing returns, whereby the more work you try to put in past this point, the more detrimental it is for your productivity and the quality of your work. So let's get into the tips for how you can actually achieve more by working less and how you can actually focus better. Tip number one is to restrict your working time. The idea is to estimate how long you would normally take to complete a particular task and then giving yourself a hard deadline, which drastically reduces that working time. When you have less time to get work done, you actually respect that time even more. You will naturally want to start with the most important tasks because you know you don't have all day. Another benefit is that you'll be less tempted to do things like scrolling on social media, even if it is for 5 minutes, because you know you can't waste those precious minutes. For example, if I say that I want to finish a YouTube script on a Saturday morning, then normally that would take me around 3 hours to do, but then I would set a hard deadline of only 2 hours to complete that task. And that helps to create some urgency. And to be honest, the reason for why it normally takes me 3 hours in the first place is because I would pick up my phone like maybe 5 times during those few hours and then start doom scrolling for about 10 minutes. Each doom scroll might seem harmless because it's only for 10 minutes each, but if you accumulate that over the 3 hours, it actually amounts to a lot. So for example, with me, let's say I pick up my phone 5 times, right? Then 5 times 10 minutes equals 50 minutes, which is pretty much almost an hour of just doom scrolling. So realistically, if I give myself 3 hours to script, then I would only spend 2 of those hours actually doing work and 1 entire hour just doom scrolling. So to work more efficiently, give yourself less time to complete a particular task. But make sure that this duration of time that you give yourself is actually reasonable enough for you to be able to just about complete the task. Tip number 2 is don't task switch. When you switch from task A to task B, your attention doesn't immediately follow. There's a part of your brain that still remains stuck in task A even after you've moved on to task B. In Deep Work, he refers to this as a residue of your attention, and some of that residue is still stuck in task A. And this is especially true if you've left task A unfinished. In my day job, I've realized why my ability to stay focused is so bad, and it's because the nature of my work actually forces me to task switch all the time. For example, I might be preparing a PowerPoint presentation and then my colleague will suddenly message me asking for something urgent. So then I would have to task task switch my brain to looking for that thing. But some of my brain is still occupied with the PowerPoint that I was working on. And after sending that thing to my colleague, I'll only have about 20 minutes before I have to jump into my next meeting. And within those 20 minutes, I'll task switch again to work on the PowerPoint presentation that I was doing earlier. And to be honest, 20 minutes is not long enough for me to get into the flow of things. So by the time that I do, I'll have to task switch again in order to get into meeting mode. So how do we avoid task switching? That brings me to tip number 3, which is to batch your work. And the idea is to group similar tasks together so that you have one stretch of uninterrupted time in order to do just that one type of activity. This is so you can turn your attention fully to just that one type of task. For example, if in a workday I've got 2 PowerPoint presentations that I have to prepare as well as a bunch of emails I need to reply to, then what I'll do is spend 2 hours in the morning solely to work on those 2 PowerPoint presentations, and then in the afternoon I'll block out an hour of my day just to answer all my emails. That way my brain is only focused on one activity at a time. If I work on my PowerPoint presentations for 30 minutes and then switch over to emails for 10 minutes because I'm bored, and then switch back to working on the PowerPoint presentations, and if I do that repeatedly, then it's going to just ruin my overall focus, and half of my attention will be on the PowerPoints and then half of it will be on the emails. Tip number 4 is to have a drastic change in your environment. This really helps if you're struggling to focus at your usual spot, or if you've got a task that you've been dreading and you just need that extra push. For example, J.K. Rowling needed a lot of focus in order to complete the last few chapters of the Harry Potter series, and what she ended up doing was paying over $1,000 a night to stay at one of the swankiest hotels in Scotland until she finished those chapters. Changing your environment coupled with a significant investment, whether in terms of effort or money, can actually help to increase the perceived importance of that task, and that'll help to switch you on a bit more. I have an example that's a bit less extreme compared to JK, but it works equally as well for me. And what I'll do is I will take my laptop and go sit at a cafe, order a latte, and just work for the next couple hours. So here there was some effort investment in me having to leave the house and get ready and go to the cafe. And the cafe in this example is the change in environment, and the oat milk latte represents the money investment that I put in. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I've left the house, put in this effort to go to this cafe, and I've ordered this expensive latte. I might as well make these next 2 hours worth it. So some of you watching may be doing a STEM degree, or you might be learning data science or computer programming in the evenings and weekends with the idea of switching careers one day. I know that it can be really hard to focus, especially if you're trying to learn something very technical in nature. If you are in this position, then you'll definitely want to check out this free and easy to use platform which will allow you to learn all the necessary skills. And that platform is called Brilliant, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. Brilliant is the best way to learn math, data science, and computer programming in fun and interactive ways. And they make it super easy by providing guided learning paths which will help you to really stay focused. They have thousands of lessons from the basics to the more advanced topics, and they add new lessons in every month as well. So whatever your skill level, Brilliant will help to customize the content to fit your specific needs and lets you solve problems at your own pace. If let's say you're looking to sharpen your skills in data, which is a very high demand skill at the moment, then they have a really great data analysis fundamentals course. Within a few quick lessons, you can analyze real world data and be able to draw really interesting conclusions from it. To try everything that Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, you can go to brilliant.org/tikagafar, or you can click the link in the description below. The first 200 of you will get 20% off your annual premium subscription. Okay, now back to the video. The last tip that I have for you guys today is to prioritize your leisure time. You need rest in order to be productive. The most life-changing tip that deep work left me with is to prioritize and actually plan my leisure time in advance. We're so used to scheduling the more productive tasks into our day, but we don't treat leisure time with the same level of seriousness. Plan what you're going to do in that leisure time in advance so that you don't waste that 1 or 2 hours deciding what you want to do. And the risk here is that you might end up just doom scrolling or not really doing much at all. I do this all the time now, where I actually block out time in my calendar for things that I love, like reading and spending time with friends and stuff like that. I'm someone who believes that we should be building a life that we love in a really holistic way through the mind and body. So if that sounds like something that you resonate with, then do check out the other videos on my channel. Okay guys, take care and see you in the next video.